Welcome to Fox College Football, sponsored by Volkswagen, and welcome to the greatest setting in college football up against Lake Washington at Husky Stadium as Colorado comes to town just on the outside of the top 25 to face 15th ranked Washington, and two teams tied in the loss column in their respective divisions in the conference. Of course, a four-way tie in the north, and part of that to be settled today when Oregon takes on Washington State later on Fox. While Colorado at 2-1, tied in the loss column with the Trojans, who take on the Utes at 5 o'clock Pacific. Welcome inside. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a great day. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Bruce Feldman joins us in a moment. And so, Brady, both these teams disappointing losses a week ago, but still both with plenty to play for.
Yeah, look, both these teams still have all their goals that they set out for at the beginning of the season ahead of them. They can still win the Pac-12 championship. They can still potentially go to a Rose Bowl. The problem is they don't control their own fate. They're going to need a little bit of help because of the losses they had last week. And for Washington, they're coming back home. Obviously, easier place to play. But for Colorado, the tough thing is back-to-back weeks on the road. This will be a tough matchup for the Buffaloes.
A lot of injury questions on both sides, and we know just the guy to answer some of those. Bruce Feldman.
Guys, Myles Gaskin, Washington's all-time leading rusher. He was a game-time decision with a shoulder injury. He just came out, no pads. He won't go today. On the CU side, Laviska Shenault, their do-everything explosive playmaker. He didn't make the trip. He's out with a turf toe injury he suffered last week against USC. Now, the guy to keep an eye on for CU to take over is K.D. Nixon. That's actually Chenault's best friend. They grew up together, known each other since they were 9 years old. He will play a much bigger role today. And Nixon told us that Chenault's message to him before this game, it's your time. Take over. Nobody knows you. This is the fun part.
All right, Bruce. His Buffs won the toss, deferred to the second half, so Washington will get it to begin in a matchup of two teams trying to stay alive in the Pac-12 title hunt. Off we go from Seattle. A short kick taken to the 5-yard line, and Chico McClatcher lost the ball as he crossed the 25. Looks like he's back on it, and that is where the Huskies will begin. So here comes Jake Browning, the senior who's Washington's all-time leading passer, starter from day one, close to 11,000 yards over his Washington career.
One of the most prolific passers in Pac-12 history, and obviously here for Washington as well. And he's just been a model of consistency. I think when you look at him throughout the course of his career, had that phenomenal 2016 season. Still trying to kind of get back to that sort of success, get back to the college football playoff. Tough to do. Probably on the outside looking in after the loss last week.
They start their day with a handoff to Sean McGrew. So he's the first guy to get a touch from the running back spot. And as Bruce told us, no Gaskin, but it's still a very deep group. You've got Ahmed who will play. You have Kamari Pleasant. And this guy and Sean McGrew, who were both big down the stretch last week.
Had a huge catch on 4th down. And you thought maybe that would be a guy like Savon Ahmed, but he was banged up. Kamari Pleasant has had some playing time. But they trusted Sean McGrew to catch a 4th down reception, help sustain the drive and give him a shot for a field goal to win it.
That heartbreaking 30-27 overtime loss at Oregon. They go back to McGrew here on 2nd down, and he's hit right at the line to gain by Davion Taylor. It'll be 3rd and 1. And so there is Myles Gaskin out with a shoulder injury.
This is the first game he's missed in his career here at Washington. I mean, he has been the model of consistency. When you talk about Jake Browning at the quarterback position, Myles Gaskin has been that for Washington at the running back position throughout his career.
Opening drive for the Huskies, 3rd down and 1. And they bring Kamari Pleasant in for the first time. It is a quarterback sneak for Browning and a 1st down for Washington. Now, the offense so far good, not great. When you're looking at Jake Browning, that should have been kind of a signature moment for him last week with what he did late. 9 of 10 in the second half. Perfect on that last drive to set up what they hoped would have been the game winner.
Should have been the hero.
Yeah.
You know, all it took was really one kick, and I think he would have been the hero. That could have been that signature moment for him at Washington.
His first throw of the day will come in a little bit as the coverage downfield is solid, and Javier Edwards brings him down.
And that's something that Jake Browning's been working on. See how he rushed up in the pocket? There's times when earlier in the season he was going out the back of the pocket, wasting too many yards. At times, too, forcing some negative plays or making a bad play worse, but he's been working on trying to push up in the pocket if he does decide to scramble or if he keeps his eyes downfield in the passing game.
Offensive coordinator Bush Hampton said he's been making the big plays when they've needed them. He's avoided those key mistakes, like you mentioned, that he had a tendency to make a year ago. On second down, he throws incomplete out of the hands of Aaron Fuller. And it's third down. This Colorado defense very much improved and kind of getting back to what they did during the division championship season of 2016. Last year, they had to replace 8 starters, had to replace the D coordinator, Jim Leavitt. But here in the second season with DJ Elliott as the D coordinator, much better.
And still played well last week, with the exception of a few big plays. When you go back and look at that game, it wasn't as bad as the score looked, at least from a defensive standpoint.
Or they're showing pressure, which they love to do on third down. And here they come. Browning quickly gets rid of it, but it's behind Terrell Bynum, and it's fourth down.
One of the toolboxes or tools you have in your toolbox as a quarterback is your cadence. So Jake Browning draws in the defense. He knows they want to bring pressure. So he's got his quick answer. The problem is they've got a dropper coming out and the ball's thrown behind. Colorado doing a good job of forcing the football out of Jake Browning's hand, not allowing them to convert.
Joe Whitford sends away a good punt. Ronnie Blackman back to take it at the 19. Well, Colorado will be on offense when we come back. Colorado ready for its first possession of the afternoon, looking for their first top 25 road win since 2002. That's 28 consecutive losses in those opportunities. On the first play, Trayvon McMillan into the teeth of the Washington defense. And the nation's leading tackler, Ben Burr-Kirven, gets his first of the day. Steven Montez, the junior from El Paso, Texas, in his second year as the full-time starter. This is a talented player.
Very talented player, and he's got the arm strength and the ability to really stretch the field vertically. They didn't last week versus USC. Washington will make them do that, and he's going to take off and use his legs when he can't. Had a rushing touchdown last week.
Washington brings some pressure, flushing Montez from the pocket. Across his body, finds an open man for a first down. That's Dimitri Stanley's first career reception. And a first down to the 33-yard line.
True freshman out of Aurora, Colorado. Talked to offensive coordinator Darren Shiverine. He said he's going to have to play a big role because of the injury to Laviska Shenault, as well as Jay McIntyre. He's out with a concussion this week. Some young guys are going to have to step up
as they try to bounce back from their worst game against USC last week. Here's McMillan again, and if they want to do that, part of that is going to be getting that ground game going. McMillan, who had been so good over the first month, was held to 32 yards last week.
Yeah, 4 out of 6 games this season, 100 yards rushing. They're going to have to run the football, I think, but also, again, they're going to have to stretch the field vertically, in particular on the outside, working on the cornerbacks for Washington.
McMillan again got hit in the backfield, but lost the football, and it appears Washington is on it, or did Colorado scramble to that ball? Somehow Josh Kaiser falls on top of it for a buff first down.
And he's pulling around, so he's going to come into the end of the play as he helps to kind of seal on Tevis Bartlett. The ball comes out from Ben Burr-Kirven, I believe. No, excuse me. Benning Potoa'e is able to knock it out. JoJo McIntosh can't get it.
Well, they must be living right. Looked like they had no shot to get on that. And now McMillan into the secondary for a first down into Washington territory.
What stands out about McMillan is his ability to get yards after contact. He runs so strong, and once he gets into traffic, he just continues to pump his legs and keep them moving.
Here's McMillan again. The heavy load on this first drive, getting 4 yards. Let's take a look at our one to watch, sponsored by Chick-fil-A. Earn points, redeem rewards. And Bruce Feldman told us about K.D. Nixon off of the top, but a guy that was Laviska Shenault's teammate in high school at DeSoto in Texas. And getting his first opportunity to be the guy today with Shenault out.
It was his teammate, and he was actually the one that made varsity first. Then Laviska Shenault came around at DeSoto.
He's in the slot to the top of the screen, running down the seam. Montez looking the other way. That is a strike and a touchdown. The first career reception for Daniel Arias is a touchdown from 37 yards.
The 6'4", 200-pound true freshman with his first catch for a touchdown. And here they are at the bottom of the screen. He's working on Jordan Miller and talking to the coaching staff at Colorado. They felt this was their best matchup. Just talked about a minute ago. They've got to take shots. They've got to be aggressive and try to threaten this Washington defense. And boy, what a start for Colorado.
And what a start to his college career, huh? Getting an opportunity because of the injuries across the board at receiver with no Chenault, no Jay McIntyre. And he picks a perfect spot to have that first catch. Just down the road from where he played his high school ball in Mill Creek, Washington. Arias on a perfect throw from Montez. And in the early going in Seattle, it's Colorado on the board first. Well, Daniel Arias introducing himself to Colorado fans with a touchdown on his first career catch. Davis Price will share the kicking duties today with his younger brother Evan Price. One of the many injuries for Colorado today. James Stefano, their kicker, didn't make the trip because of a hip problem. The dangerous Chico McClatcher to the 23. Browning to the short side. That is Ty Jones for a gain of 7. Working against Trey Udofia.
It's one of the things that I thought he was a little bit inconsistent with last week versus Oregon, but also this year is some of those timing routes, the out routes where you have to put the ball outside on the money and in rhythm. Jake Browning's working in a new group of receivers to work with this year, and that's been a work in progress.
On second down, Kamari Pleasant. Not a lot of room there. The Colorado front, which has been the biggest improvement. You know, we talked about overall the numbers better from last year, but you want to zero in on why. A lot of that has to do with what they've done up front.
Talent and depth and their recruiting. I mean, you look at a guy like Israel Antoine and Mustafa Johnson. We talked about, you know, both these guys come in different routes. One's a true freshman. The other one's a JUCO transfer. But I think it's the depth and development of this Colorado defensive front.
Another third down for Washington. Aaron Fuller, their top receiver, the man in motion, runs an out pattern. He's the target, needs the 33, and gets it for a Husky first down. Breakout season for the junior from McKinney, Texas, who stepped into Dante Pettis' shoes.
This is all about the play design. They motion him to a bunch, and then it really just creates traffic for his Colorado secondary defender to run through. And that's Davion Taylor trying to get to Fuller. But that quick of a route, that quick of a pass, too tough to be able to get back to the wide receiver's hip.
Now we mentioned Pettis. Pettis had more catches last year than the entire returning group combined at receiver for Washington. That was a big question coming in. Patient running to let it develop, and another first down. And a good start for the sophomore out of Kirkland, Washington.
One of the things that all the running backs at Washington really possess is patience. They're all such patient runners, and they really wait for the blocking to develop before they accelerate and hit the hole. And Ahmed in particular, as much as he is fast, and he is probably the fastest of the backs, he is physical. That guy gets a lot of yards after contact.
First down from the 47. Takes the fake this time. Browning rolling, throwing. What a catch! Aaron Fuller plucks it with one hand.
My goodness. I mean, this is just going up with the one-hand extension. It reminds you of John Ross back in the Pac-12 championship game.
Against these Buffs in 2016.
Like it was nothing. I mean, he's really stepped into that leading receiver role this year. I haven't seen anything like that this season from him.
Wow. Or anybody for that matter. First down in Colorado territory. Strong throw to the outside for Ty Jones. On time, and he showed a stronger arm than a lot of people give him credit for.
Last time we were here, he only had 2 incompletions, but this is impressive. Opposite hash, timing route, off your plant foot, and all the way outside to drive that football on a cold weather day like this. It's a good ball. It's a big boy throw.
It's the kind of throw you're going to get evaluated on when you're looking at the next level.
Yep.
Deep as Washington's moved after punting on each of the first 2 drives. On the 29-yard line, here's Kamari Pleasant, tackled at the line of scrimmage by Nate Landman.
Nate Landman's the player on the Buffs defense that, I mean, typically there's going to be a guy who's got a bunch of tackles. He's that guy. I mean, he's got a nose for the football. He's extremely aggressive once he does diagnose the play. Talked to Colorado coaching staff, and they really feel like he's got a bright future.
And Mike McIntyre thinks he's got a long NFL career ahead of him. Sophomore to Danville, California. Makes it 2nd and 10. They go back to the air with Browning. His tight end Sample with his 2nd catch to make it 3rd and short.
Pick your poison when you go up against Washington. Because if you play zone coverage, Jake Browning is smart and experienced enough where he'll pick you apart. And if you play man coverage, they're going to try to utilize their one-on-one matchups to a guy like Fuller, who's got speed, or Bocelli, or the size matchup with Ty Jones.
Washington's been one of the best 3rd down offenses in the country. And on 3rd and 2, it is Pleasant spinning and getting stacked up shy of the line of scrimmage. That's how this first quarter comes to a close, with Mustafa Johnson and Davion Taylor combining on the tackle. And so the second quarter begins with a 4th down and short. 7-0 Colorado. Getting ready for the start of the second quarter, and you're not going to have to wait long for a big play, Brady. Washington will go for it on 4th and 3.
And look, I wouldn't be surprised in this situation if they play the coverage they did the snap before, as aggressive as they were. They don't try to take a shot here, but
running back is Kamari Pleasant. The motion man is Drew Sample. The play call is a drop back pass for Browning. He's flushed out by Lewis. He steps up and heaves. Jones incomplete, but a flag. Fisher tried to recover, but ultimately a flag flies.
And this is all created by the movement by Jake Browning.
Pass interference. Defense, number 7.
Not the most athletic.
15-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
But he is able to make plays, and what makes him so special and effective is he keeps his eyes downfield. As we look at the penalty, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Nick Fisher never looked back for the football. He impeded Ty Jones' ability to go up and make a play on it. It's an easy call there.
And so that moves into the red zone and brings us one of the more remarkable numbers in college football right now. His touchdown to interception ratio in the red zone as a Husky, 56-0. Under center for 1st and goal, and a flip for Ahmed, trying to turn the corner, and does somehow against 3 defenders, using his speed for the Washington touchdown. And then a flag flies after the play.
Let's make sure he got in, but it is all about the hesitation. Watch as Ahmed starts to get the outside right there. He gets Davion Taylor to stop his feet, and there's no doubt he got in. But he gets Taylor to stop his feet, and then he uses his speed to get to the end.
Extra point good from Peyton Henry. So the touchdown for Ahmed, but then the flag is drawn on that. Tied at 7 early on in the second. Washington, that highly anticipated season opener against Auburn, they lose. But then 5 consecutive wins, including rolling BYU, their only ranked opponent during that run, before going down to Eugene and the heartbreaking loss when they had a chance to win it. Peyton Henry's field goal at the end of regulation missed, eventually losing it in overtime. Henry kicks it away, and there'll be a chance at a return here for Kyle Evans because of the penalty at the end of the touchdown. Evans weaves his way close to the 35, and we go down to Bruce Feldman.
Guys, last week Washington played true freshman DB Kyler Gordon for the first time this season. Don't expect him to play today, but you're going to see a couple other true freshmen in there. And one of them is Tuli Lasanoa, a 330-pounder, number 91. And the reason why is you only get to use 4 games before you have to burn a red shirt. They're going to use it today because obviously Jalen Johnson suspended for the first half and Shane Bowman is out. These space heaters are guys they're going to count on today.
All right, Bruce. McMillan gets stacked up and dropped after a short gain. Miles Bryant finishing it off.
And back to Latuli Nasanoa. You know, he's 6'1", 335 pounds. Talked about eating up some space. Really, it's eating up a couple of those offensive linemen. You know, him and Greg Gaines, they're part of the reason why a guy like Ben Burkervin can have so many tackles. I mean, he almost has 100 tackles this season. It's because of those big guys.
Second down and 8. Burkervin blitzes. He's picked up, and wide open is Brady Russell. So both of the tight ends for the Buffs getting their first catches of the season in this one already.
Again, that time dropped in coverage. I mean, they haven't been targeted that much, but with Laviska Shenault, who at times plays that tight end position, not as much focus on him.
McMillan, so 6 completions for Montez to 6 different receivers, 4 of whom have gotten their first catches of the season.
And so it goes to show you, one, when you are missing one of your best players, how you're going to have guys step up. It's going to have to be a collective effort, but 2, it makes you harder to defend sometimes.
On 2nd and 6, back to the ground. McMillan has a hole and a first down inside the 30. Trayvon McMillan over the right side of the line for a run of 22 yards.
Colorado likes to run what's called a counter. See how they start to the left, and then they bring a guard, and they bring around Brady Russell. It helps to seal an edge and allows McMillan to get downfield. They're very effective with what's called their gap scheme. They're trying to attack a gap.
Evans hopping in the hole and dropped by Joe Tryon. McMillan was a little bit slow getting up. Remember, he left the game last week in Los Angeles with a thigh bruise, but was fine this week. Full go in practice. They're replaced by Evans here, 2nd and 9.
It's kind of that change-up back. A little bit more speed, shorter, smaller target, harder to tackle sometimes.
Montez, Russell again, chopped down by Bryant.
Should tell the story of Brady Russell, son of Matt Russell, former great Colorado player, in the personnel department with the Denver Broncos. Big 3rd down here, though. This has been an area where, you know, on 3rd down, Washington has not been able to get off the field. They haven't been able to get pressure. Typically better at getting sacks. It's been an issue for them this season.
They hand it off, and McMillan has nowhere to go. What do you think of the play call on 3rd and 5?
Well, it leads me to think that they knew coming out of this timeout that they were going to go for it on 4th down. Anytime you run the football like that, or you know, maybe they just saw something, but you can tell Steven Montez is kind of looking at the sideline like, what's that? What's going on?
So instead, it sets up the first career attempt for the true freshman Evan Price. Younger brother of the punter and kickoff man Davis Price. Coming from 37 yards with no James Stefano. And it is right down the middle to put Colorado back in front. Welcome to college football, Evan Price. 11:03 left to go in this first half. Back to Husky Stadium on the other side of this break. Colorado in front of Washington 10-7. Couple teams trying to stay alive in the Pac-12 title hunt. Still with a Rose Bowl, very much possibility. Play action on 1st down. Browning, while he's stumbling, flips it out to Kamari Pleasant, and he gets close to a 1st down.
Just another example, too, of Browning moving in the pocket, not having to feel like he needs to leave the pocket, and then finding an outlet, finding a check down where he can get a completion and a few more yards after.
Pleasant on the stretch play. Mustafa Johnson. You mentioned Johnson not being the biggest guy, effective despite a little bit undersized. Well, he's a whole lot bigger than he was a year ago when he was lightly recruited out of high school, but put on 30 pounds while he was playing junior college ball. Had a huge freshman year at that level, and it's turned into a big-time get for Mike McIntyre in this Colorado defense.
Playing some of his best football the last 2 weeks. 12 tackles, 2 sacks, a few tackles for loss. It's been disruptive.
Draw play, Sean McGrew. Big hole. and a first down to midfield. Tripped up by Nate Landman, but a gain of 16.
Well, when Washington brings in 3 wide receivers, they're telling the defense, yeah, we're thinking about passing. It's perfectly set up then for a draw. You can see the Colorado defense dropped into coverage, expecting it to be a pass. That's the tendency for Washington. Good play call by offensive coordinator Bush Hampton.
Washington with the ground game working early. On first down from the 37, Browning again stepping up. Keeps his eyes downfield and sees room to run. Getting 8 yards. Nick Fisher ushered him out.
He's elusive, and people think that you have to be this great athlete to play quarterback, and most of them are better athletes than people realize, but what you have to be is sudden, and that's what Browning is. Browning is able to move suddenly and able to get by people to then continue to float outside the pocket and make these plays with his legs, whether running or passing downfield.
Back into one of those 2 tight end sets for second and short. Here's a trick play. Andre Bocelli gets a block from Browning and gets a first down inside the 20. Jake Browning says, I don't care how big I am, how good I look.
You gotta love this. Watch number 3. Hands off. Now he's looking for work, and it's going to be Israel Antoine, who's almost 315 pounds on the 210-pound Browning.
See, tried to get another 2. Peels off and tries to get Fisher.
Just looking for more work. You gotta love that kid.
Under center on first down from the 15. Straight ahead. Huge hole. Touchdown. Kamari Pleasant gives Washington its first lead of the day.
I mean, you could drive a Mack truck through this thing. Check out the left side of the offensive line. Just moving all those bodies, and as soon as Jackson Kirkland pulls around, number 51, he doesn't really have much work. I mean, he touches Nate Landman, but Pleasant's able to just get to the end zone.
Second touchdown of the year for the sophomore out of Rialto, California. They go 75 yards in 10 plays, most of that on the ground. Convert a fourth down and eventually cap it off. And the Huskies trying to bounce back from that heartbreaking loss in front for the first time. Back at Husky Stadium, where Kamari Pleasant ran in untouched to give Chris Peterson's bunch their first lead of the day. Pac-12 championship, Rose Bowl still in play for the Huskies. Well, it's quite a consolation prize when you come into the year with aspirations of the college football playoff. The Rose Bowl is a consolation prize. That's what Washington has its sights set on now. They've not been since 2000. Here comes Kyle Evans. Kyle Evans with room and with speed to cross the 35 and set up good field position. They're playing from behind for the first time. They open from the 39 with Trayvon McMillan slipping off initial contact and getting a couple yards. Bartlett and Burke-Curvin combine on the tackle. 5+ left in this first half. And 2nd and 8. I
think you got to give a lot of credit to the Washington defensive front. Been pretty good so far in trying to stop the run. That's typically the 2 things they force you to do. You got to stop the run, and they don't give up many big plays. I'm trying to work on having better production on getting stops on 1st and 2nd down so they can force teams being 3rd and long.
2nd down and 8. Montez delivers one. This is Nixon with his first catch of the day. And K.D. Nixon stays on his feet into Washington territory. Stopped by Byron Murphy. Yeah, Bruce Feldman told us off at the top that Laviska Chenault's message to his old high school teammate K.D. Nixon was, it's your turn. Nobody knows your name yet. And that's what makes today such a fun day for you, KD.
We sat down with him yesterday, and boy, this guy's got a ton of personality, a ton of confidence. I said, just get ready. Get ready for the show. Get ready for the movie I'm going to put on.
He is a big movie fan. Wants to be maybe an actor, get into movie producing. And yeah, he said, the movie starts today.
Oh, he was a pleasure to meet with. It's always fun meeting with these players before the games and seeing their excitement for it. He's obviously excited for the opportunity, even though he misses his buddy being out there with him on the field.
2nd down and 6 after the McMillan run. McMillan gets blown up. That's Levi Onwuzurike with a stop.
And just check out Onwuzurike right here in the middle. Watch him just bowl over. I believe it was, yeah, and that's number 55, Brett Dons. That is just power, because it wasn't like he had lower pad level. Just a better jump on the football. And Huskies finally getting more 3rd and longs. They've had 27 3rd and 1s this year. This is exactly what they were hoping to have more of here today.
3rd down 11. They bring 4. Montez throws behind Stanley. 4th down.
Ball was just a little bit too far behind. Tough for a true freshman to corral that football in there too. And Steven Montez has a really strong arm. I was watching him before the game warm up and just seeing him kind of spit the ball around the field. And sometimes in those shorter, shallow crosses, you almost got to put a little more touch on it, so it's not too hard for those guys to catch.
Davis Price, very short punt, and Fuller with a fair catch at the 19. Browning facing pressure. That one gets intercepted. What a break on the ball by Nick Fisher, and Colorado's got it on the doorstep. The senior team captain returns at 30 yards, providing the big play the Buffs were looking for.
This is all Jake Browning just staring this down the entire time. And they've run this concept before. They're going to run the tight end across on a shallow cross. Then you see Aaron Fuller. See how he's squatting? Nick Fisher eyed this the entire way. Look at Browning. And typically you're going to read down the middle of the field. But the problem is you've got to do a better job of seeing that backside defender. Now Colorado with a huge opportunity to try to capitalize, something they didn't do last week versus USC after getting a couple early turnovers.
1st down and goal. Here comes McMillan right in the blocks for a couple of yards. Yeah, they had 3 takeaways against USC. Didn't convert those into a single point.
When it kills momentum. I mean, that's ultimately what you're really trying to generate with that, and getting points, getting momentum. On the road, that's a difficult thing to do, and that's why it's so key here on them trying to come away with some points.
Here's Nixon. Right back into the teeth of the defense and pulled down by Tevis Bartlett. 3rd and goal.
And this is the area of the field where you miss having Laviska Shenault. You know, he comes back sometimes in the backfield as the Wildcat quarterback, or they match him up on the outside and they try to figure out ways of getting the football. Now they don't necessarily have that go-to guy with the size advantage. The one guy that we haven't really seen impact the game quite as much, or so far at all, is Juwan Winfrey.
To the near side on 3rd and goal. On 3rd and goal, Montez scans out of the backfield. McMillan had one-on-one and stumbled, and it's 4th down.
I'm all for trying to get your best players in one-on-one scenarios, but I hate when you throw short of the goal line. At least give it a chance if you're trying to get the ball in the end zone.
There's Evan Price. Hit his first career attempt earlier today. A 27-yarder, and they do take advantage of the interception, although settling for a field goal and getting to within 1. Here to be Colorado with the football to open the 2nd half. Down to Bruce Feldman.
Coach, the turnover at the end kind of swung momentum. How do you get it back?
Well, we need to not turn the ball over. When you play a good team, 2 evenly matched teams, turnovers are going to be huge.
You don't have Miles today. Your other running backs have stepped up. What is it about this offense that you guys have tried to focus in on today?
Well, we're going to still just run our schemes, what we do, and we got good backs, and they just got to produce.
What's going to be your message to the team after the way this kind of half played out?
Say again? I'm sorry.
Message to the team after the way this half played out.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we thought it would be. I mean, it's going to be a hard-fought game by 2 evenly matched teams, and who's going to execute best down the line.
All right, thanks, Coach. Guys, back to you.
The sun is out after a cloudy start to the day here in Seattle. 14-13 Washington as we get ready for the 2nd half. And we welcome you back. Joe Davis with Brady Quinn. Bruce Feldman again in a moment. What were your thoughts over the first 30 minutes?
Well, each team is missing a star, right? Laviska, Chenault for Colorado. But the passing game hasn't suffered. Steven Montez has been phenomenally spreading the football out all over across the field. And some young guys are making some big plays and stepping up. And then as you look at Washington, Miles Gaskin's been out. But they haven't suffered either. Already rushed for over 100 yards in this game. So the Colorado defense is going to have to make an adjustment. Remember, they held USC to 0 yards rushing last week.
Yeah, it's a Colorado team that started this season 5-0. But as we kind of touched on during the first half, they get walloped by USC, and everybody starts to say, well, maybe they weren't for real. Maybe they were 5-0 because the schedule was so bad, and maybe there was something to that. But another opportunity at a statement for them today on the road again against another ranked team. Washington, meanwhile, trying to bounce back from that heartbreaking defeat in Eugene. And for both these teams, a Pac-12 championship and a Rose Bowl trip still in play. Colorado has it to open this second half, and that takes a Washington bounce and goes out of bounds. Oh, scary play for the Buffs. Let's go down to Bruce.
Joe, as Brady said, the Washington run game has been really cranked up, even without Miles Gaskin. So I asked Mike McIntyre, how do you slow these guys down? He said, we got to tackle better. It's really that simple. We've had a couple of times where we've had them in the backfield and they've made us miss. We got to be more efficient. We can't have some of these run fits, but they're really good running backs. He's been pleased with Steven Montez in the pass game, but we got to be better in the red zone. We got to be more efficient.
Yeah, 2 red zone trips, field goals on both of those. The second half begins with a run that is blown up by Greg Gaines, and Trayvon McMillan loses 2. We look at our Geico first half stats. Pretty even across the board. The big difference, which you don't see on there, is what happened in the red zone. So the 2 field goals for Colorado. Well, Washington has finished both red zone trips with touchdowns.
And I think that's been one of the things the Washington defense has hung their hat on, is their red zone defense, their scoring defense, one of the best in the Pac-12, actually the best, tied with Utah. It's been kind of everything in between, though. Getting off the field on third down, that's been more of a struggle.
Back-to-back runs. Montez has room off the left side with this one. Pushed out of bounds by JoJo McIntosh, and it's 3rd and short.
With no Laviska Chenault, Colorado's got to incorporate Steven Montez more into the running game. He's a good athlete. He's a strong runner, kind of even elusive. He reminds me of a little bit faster, more athletic version of Sefo Lufau, who is at today's game. Lufau a little bit bigger, tougher runner. But Montez has to incorporate that into the game.
That he took over for as starter. On his second year as the full-time guy. On 3rd down and 4 with a twist up front, a low throw. No signal until now. They say that Dimitri Stanley pulled it in. A guy who's playing in just his 2nd game at Colorado. They'd like to redshirt him, but they've basically said, who knows? We'll see how he looks in Jay McIntyre's spot.
And for a true freshman, I mean, has the ability to go down, get the football, getting his arms underneath it. What impressed me more is just sitting in that soft spot and finding the zone coverage.
This is Montez running again, and he's close to a 1st down. First 2 design runs we've seen from Montez come on this first drive of the second half.
Always helps when you've got a tight end out there leading the way, blocking for you. When they do have the design quarterback runs for Montez, typically they like to have Brady Russell or Chris Bounds out there with them.
McMillan spinning. That was blown up by Greg Gaines and then finished off by Ryan Bowman. 3rd and short.
Should identify, too, Jalen Johnson is now back in there for the Washington defensive front. Gaines with the great play, but he's got his old buddy Jalen Johnson back, who's pretty versatile. You know, he plays down as a defensive tackle at times, but also can stand up on the edge as a DN.
There's Johnson. The targeting called in the 4th quarter last week. They're down in 2. Out of the Wildcat, where it would normally be Laviska Chenault. It's McMillan. It's a trick play. Back to the quarterback, Montez. He's got room to run and will for a 1st down. So it was well identified by the secondary, but an easy run to convert the 3rd down for Montez.
I thought he still had a shot as he was looking downfield. Keep your eye here. As Montez comes back, Tony Brown's going to run basically a deep V route, they call it. And he had a shot. It's one-on-one with Taylor Rapp. You take the shot. That's why you call the play. Give your wide receiver an opportunity to go make a play on a safety.
1st down from the 46, and Trayvon McMillan head down straight ahead for a short gain.
I get the feeling this is a big possession for Colorado. Got to stop in the last drive. Now an opportunity with good field position to do some of the football and come away with points and try to get the lead.
Got 2 on first down, 2nd and 8. Montez dumps it off. 4th catch of the day for Brady Russell. And it's 3rd and short.
So that area of the field, too, where you wonder, maybe think about going for it on 4th down if you don't get something out of this. And usually on 3rd and short, they like to run the Wildcat package. Usually it's Laviska Shenault. Not here today. We've seen Trayvon McMillan run that package. And it's tough to stop because now you've got to put an extra defender in the box to stop the run, and that guy's typically not very close to the football.
Out of the Wildcat, McMillan still on his feet and fighting, but not going to get there. There was so much penetration, he never could get going. First man to hit him was the nickel Miles Bryant, and it is 4th down and about 2.
He's so important to this defense. Plays that hybrid role, and he comes all the way off the slot. Once they motion down Juwan Winfrey, he ends up finding his way to the football, and if not for him stopping McMillan, he's probably getting a first down.
What do you think? They're going to go on
I love
4th and 2.
You got to play aggressive. Look, you're on the road last week. I don't know how aggressive the play calling was then, but clearly we're seeing Colorado trying to take advantage of the field position now.
They stay in the Wildcat, bring Jackson in motion. It's McMillan, and he will not get it. Washington gave up all 3 4th down attempts from Oregon last week. They shut this one down with Ben Burr-Kirven. And with 7:06 left to go in the 3rd, they take over at the 45.
Let's take a look at that last 4th down stop by the Husky defense, and it was really the penetration by Jalen Johnson and Greg Gaines that freed up Ben Burr-Kirven and Brandon Wellington to be able to make the tackle for a loss. And you see the frustration from Trayvon McMillan. Hasn't been easy today.
So Washington takes over at the 45, and play action for Browning, who's looking downfield, sets his feet and throws to the sideline for Fuller. Boy, what great field by Jake Browning to throw on the brakes before he crossed the line and deliver a first down throw.
It's, again, the pocket movement. He wants to get a Ty Jones on a double move. Doesn't have it, has to move. Watch him fling this thing. I mean, Jake Browning doesn't have the strongest arm. He would tell you that. But then he just kind of throws a little sidearm, doesn't get his body even aligned to the throw, and Fuller does a great job of coming back to the football for the completion.
3rd catch of the day for Fuller. First down at the 37. Here's Pleasant. Gain of about 3. Jake Browning delivers. There's Andre Bocelli. First down to the 26.
One of the things I love about offensive coordinator Bush Hamdan is he gives Jake Browning coverage indicators. What that means is he tells him before the snap of the football, whether it's man or zone based on the formation. That helps Jake become more decisive after the snap of the football.
First down, here's McGrew. Straight up the middle, and he keeps on chugging for a gain of 6 or 7.
Saw that last penalty with Mustafa Johnson, but take a look from this angle. Like going both ways. Look, he's grabbing. It's like you're grabbing mine, I'm going to grab yours. A lot of times running backs get away with that a little bit easier because the officials tend to look for the defender to do it more so than the offensive player.
And the official that threw the flag wouldn't have had a chance to see that. He was behind Johnson. 2nd down and 4. Browning to the gun. He'll throw. Now he'll scramble. Browning throws it away. 3rd down. Chased by Nate Landman. We talked about it the start of this half, but the big difference in this game has been what's happened once the teams have moved into the red zone. So far, Washington 2 touchdowns on their 2 trips. Colorado has settled for field goals both times.
That's that 4-point swing you always talk about. That's why it's such a critical situation, 3rd and goal. And, you know, typically when they get one-on-one, they like to throw the football up to Ty Jones. He's their big target down there. He's got 4 red zone receptions on the year for 4 touchdowns. Couldn't quite connect last week in overtime, though. And the fade
Jones at the front of that 3-receiver set, along with Bocelli and Fuller. Browning lets it go for Bocelli, and it looks like he's got close to a first down. Chris Miller was on him right away, but there is a flag down.
I thought he had enough for the first down. The call may be offensive pass interference depending on when the ball was caught.
Pass interference, offense, number 20. 15-yard penalty, replay third down.
Both sides with a big flag on this drive.
Yeah, and there's Ty Jones. And check out, when the ball is caught by Bocelli, he's already initially engaged and makes contact with, I believe that's Evan Worthington.
That ain't much.
No, it's not. And he did a good job of kind of acting like he was running a route. That's how the offense tries to get away with it, if you want me to be honest.
I think you're right, too. It became a moot point, but had that penalty not been called, I think you might have seen a review on the spot, and it'd become enough for a first down.
Well, the key was it was caught over the line of scrimmage, and that's the key. If it was caught at the line of scrimmage, different story. He's allowed to do that.
So third down 19 for the Huskies. Browning making a change at the line of scrimmage. Colorado bringing pressure to draw. Steven Montez stepped out of one tackle, but couldn't get away from Carson Wells, and they do get a few back. Yeah, make it a little bit easier attempt for Henry.
Browning knew they were going to bring a pressure. I was kind of surprised they didn't check to a pass because they had an additional defender there for the run. Nonetheless, kind of tells you what they were thinking. Maybe get a little bit of a gain here, make it a more makeable kick.
For Henry, who did make one during overtime after he missed the one that would have won it for the Huskies. The redshirt freshman from 31 is right down the middle. So they settle for a field goal but extend the lead to 17-13. Back in a moment. Back in Seattle, jumbled picture in the Pac-12 at this point. 4 teams with 1 loss in the North, which is especially tight. And, of course, Oregon and Washington State will follow us on Fox. Colorado's right in the middle of things still in the South, hoping that Utah can knock off USC and Salt Lake later today. Half a season to go and still a lot to learn about these two teams and about everybody in the Pac-12. There's still so many, really half of the conference, still with a shot at winning the championship. A short kick taken by Ronnie Blackman at the 15-yard line. Yeah, good field position. 28-yard line for Colorado. Montez to throw on first down. He'll heave one down the sideline. Arias trying to come back for it and incomplete with the coverage from Keith Taylor.
You know, I gave credit to Steven Montez on the touchdown pass to Daniel Arias earlier in the game. This time it was almost too much. You're looking him off forever, and usually you do it and you take one hitch and get the ball up. At this point, the ball ends up being a little bit underthrown, and they're working on Keith Taylor for Washington. But see how Arias has to come back to it? He needs to get that ball up sooner.
But a 37-yard touchdown on Colorado's first drive. No touchdown since. Here the crossing pattern connects, and Ben Burke-Kirven throws down Tony Brown.
What I love about this play is it's a clean, sound tackle. Could have been helmet to helmet. We saw a hit like that on a crossing route last week. Perfect form tackle, right where he's supposed to be. Read it, saw it the entire way. Listen to this crowd now all of a sudden start to be the 12th man for the Husky defense.
On 3rd and 8. They rush only 4. That's a good catch by Stanley, but it's short with a sure tackle from Miles Bryant. 4th down and 2.
They call that Velcro coverage, where you're just stuck on the wide receiver, and really it's a well-placed football by Montez, but Bryant with the better coverage and able to get the stop. Look at Ben Burke-Kirven, he's fired up. This Washington team's going to try to seize some momentum, something that they've really done well in this series the past couple of times they've played. Last year in the second half, in the third quarter in particular in the Pac-12 championship game.
That is not a good punt. That'll qualify as a shank. You see how kind they are with the spot. Probably not very. They're going to mark this one around the 45-yard line. Just an 11-yard punt for Davis Price. Steven Ahmed lets the blocks develop. Bounces to the outside. Inside the 15. To bring this third quarter to a close with a run of 22 yards. So just 3 points in that third quarter. But the Huskies on the move, trying to beat Colorado for the 9th consecutive meeting. Fourth quarter coming up from Seattle. Tight one here in Seattle with Washington in front of Colorado 17-13. And Mike McIntyre's team trying to keep this up. Tied for the best in the country in the fourth quarter. They've given up just 2 field goals all year in the fourth. And they'll face the Wildcat here on the first play with McGrew getting pulled down in the backfield by Davion Taylor.
And credit Taylor for recognizing the fact that it was a Wildcat and there's really not a passing option. Huskies haven't thrown from the Wildcat yet this season. So clearly he doesn't have to respect as much his coverage responsibilities and instead can make a play on the football.
Second down 11 now. And so for Colorado, very good in the fourth quarter defensively. Very good in the red zone defensively much of the year, too.
Ty Jones all by himself at the top.
So they go the other way to Chico McClatcher. And Chico slips his way through. Lost it out of bounds in the end zone. No signal yet. Was he down or is this a touchback? Critical call coming from Chris Coy.
The ruling on the field is the ball was fumbled forward out of the end zone. By rule, a touchback. First down, Colorado.
Yeah, and you see on the replay that is likely going to be confirmed.
There's no doubt about it. It's a fumble. The ball's out. This is a huge stop, huge momentum play by Colorado.
Yeah, Nick Fisher slowed him up. Nate Landman knocked it out. Buffalo football after this. Play action, Nixon again. Back-to-back receptions for the sophomore from Texas. On second and less than 1, Trayvon McMillan gets a first down. Trayvon McMillan spins out of the initial contact from Ryan Bowman and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Second and 10. Second down and 10. They bring pressure with Tevis Bartlett. It leaves room in the middle for Montez to run for a first down. Miles Bryant brought him down after a gain of 12.
Steven Montez is going to have to continue to keep doing this, utilizing his legs. He wanted to go to Katie Nixon to the left, but because of the pressure by Bartlett, he sees the open field and takes off.
Montez tries to run again. Broke a tackle of Ryan Bowman. Trying to come from behind in this one. Out of the hands of McMillan, and Colorado's probably better off for it. Huskies bring only 4. Montez delivers, and it's broken up by Bryant.
Well, they're trying to get the ball to Katie Nixon in the slot, and then you see number 5, Miles Bryant, squatting off. They ended up playing more zone coverage. He's got his eyes on Montez the whole way. Look at the extension.
Davis Price to punt it. Not a very good one. Fair catch at the 15 by Fuller. And now Washington has it back on offense. Yeah, and it's Sean McGrew with a seam off the right side for a first down gain of 8 or 9.
Washington.
He'll throw it after the fake to Bocelli for a first down.
I guess that when you couple the fact that Delrick Abrams isn't in the game, the best cornerback for Colorado's defense too. But credit Colorado. Nick Fisher with the big interception earlier. Helps set up a score for the Buffs. I think they got a lot of pressure too on Jake Browning. And we talked a little bit about that Colorado offensive line, them trying to define their five distinguished guys. For Washington, it's been 4 guys at new positions this year.
Of course, having to recover from the huge injury to Trey Adams at left tackle. Stop made by Drew Lewis. But Adams, an All-American that they were without last season and without him again this year as he injures his back during fall camp. Got an All-American at right tackle in Caleb McGarry, but the other 4 spots are either new starters or, as you said, guys shifting to spots that they've not played at Washington.
And they've played pretty well this season. I mean, last week only allowed 1 sack and 1 penalty for a false start in a tough environment, Otson. So far today, though, there's been more penetration and more pressure than I anticipated coming into this game.
It's a new look for Washington today out of an empty set on 2nd and 8. Browning faces pressure, steps away from Landman, gets rid of it just in time, incomplete. Israel Antoine was the man that grabbed the hold of Browning at the end.
And this has been the story of the day, is the pressure from the Colorado defensive front. They slant the line, they bring Davion Turner and Nate Landman. They don't have an answer for it. Browning just waving the football around everywhere. You know, and after you see Aaron Fuller almost get 2 hands on it, we saw him with the one-handed catch earlier in the game. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, you've set the bar so high, Aaron. Big 3rd down here.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come back to Aaron Fuller at some point.
To the near side, they put him in motion. 3rd down and 8. Browning to throw. Well protected. Now he takes off, and Jake Browning runs for a 1st down.
When you talk to the defensive staff of Colorado, they say when Jake Browning decides to take off in the pocket, typically it's the pass. In this case, it looked like he kind of wanted to, and then he just said, no, I've got this on my own. Chris Peterson describes his quarterback as a scrambling quarterback. A lot of people think because of his prolific numbers, he's more of a pocket passer, and he is. He's also got that ability, too.
Kamari Pleasant bouncing to the outside. Spinning for a 1st down across the 45.
You could call that a pretty pleasant run by Kamari Pleasant, but we've seen a number of times they've got some pullers. Jackson Kirkland in this case helping to set the edge. Got some downfield blocking as well. Pleasant with a nice little spin move. Got a deep backfield in Washington.
And they have distributed it pretty evenly today. He's got 9 carries for 35. Now Ahmed comes back in. His 7th carry of the day. Getting close to 70 yards as Fisher angles him out. He's just so much faster than everybody on the field.
Well, and his thing is start and stop. So once he gets you to stop your feet like he did Nick Fisher,
no chance.
He's then going to beat you. Yeah. It's like playing in basketball. He's almost got that quick first step where he's just looking to find a way to get to the lane.
Here he is with his buddy Myles Gaskin. There's a well-publicized story of those 2 guys trying to decide who's faster, and so they did it on a high school field one night this summer. Lined up.
How does that end up on social media nowadays?
I don't know. McGrew. They continue to rotate those running backs in. A stop from Dante Wigley.
Sean McGrew is the running back with the most storied career probably coming out of high school. He's been patient to try to wait his turn.
Got a powerhouse, St. John Bosco in California. Not just in football, but he's a track star as well.
I just wonder if they're going to take a shot at some point. Maybe Andre Bocelli, get him involved. Just get that feeling.
Bocelli's lined up to the top. Instead, they go back to McGrew, makes a cut in the hole, and then meets Davion Taylor.
At this point in the game, 5 minutes left, clock's still running. You want to run the football, shorten the game. You've got command right now. Clearly, they'd like to score a touchdown, not come away with a field goal here, just to make it a 2-score game.
Tenth play of the drive coming up. McGrew comes in motion. Here is Bocelli. 3rd down and 4 or 5.
When you look at the game plan against the Buffs, you know, drastically different this week, seeing what Washington's been trying to do and what really USC did. USC said, we're just going to take shots, and we know we may have to win with just a few big plays. They were able to do that. So far, a lot of the passing game has been more of the short intermediary passing routes. They haven't really tested the secondary for Colorado that much.
On 3rd down, Browning back to throw, steps up, zips one behind Jones, and it's 4th down. From here, it'd be about a 43-yarder.
You could tell Browning was frustrated with Jones. He thought he was going to hook up in the zone coverage in the open space. That's why the ball was a bit behind. And that's just the difference when you've got a quarterback who's a senior, played a lot of football, and then you've got a sophomore in Ty Jones who's still coming along.
And they will go for it on 4th down and 5. Inside of 4 minutes in a 4-point game.
One-on-one coverage with Aaron Full at the bottom of the screen.
Browning looking that way. On the slant. He's got him. Touchdown Washington. And breathing room for the Huskies with a 4th down touchdown.
Well, look at all the bodies around the line of scrimmage. They're bringing an all-out blitz. It's just man-to-man, so Jake Browning knows I got to hang in the pocket tough, and I'm going to take a shot. And you can see Dante Wigley and Aaron Fuller all alone. When they've needed a play this year, Joe, it's been Aaron Fuller.
Henry with the extra point, and the lead is 2 scores as Browning finds Fuller on the slant. 3:50 to go, and Colorado now needing a miracle. Well, 84 yards and 12 plays and run almost 6 minutes off of the clock. Kyle Evans with a return to the 23. 3:43 left to go, and a Colorado team that hasn't scored a touchdown since its first drive needs 2 scores in the closing minutes. So here we go. Steven Montez back to throw, and on the first play of the drive, promptly flushed out of the pocket. He'll get what he can. What's Colorado have to do to have a shot here over the final 3:36?
Well, Montez is going to have to do just that. He's going to have to keep allowing himself to make plays with his legs when the opportunity presents it, because Washington's only going to use a 3-man rush. They got 8 in coverage, and you only got 5 eligible guys to throw to. So they've got the advantage. It's going to be tough. He's going to have to buy time and find open windows versus this very stingy Washington secondary.
Inside 3:20 now. All 3 timeouts for the Buffs. That ball's picked off and just might do it. And it is Ben Burke-Irvin. 15 tackles, a pass breakup, and an interception that he takes back 21 yards.
Most trusted player, most trusted hands. How about this? Sitting right here in the middle of the defense. He's going to have eyes on Montez the whole time. That's the advantage when you're in zone coverage. And he just breaks on the football with a former running back background when going back to high school. Look at him. Give a little something to Juwan Winfrey. He knows what to do with the football when it gets in his hands. Wow. You know, and it's interesting, too, because he's so fast. He's so good at seeing everything out there on the field. And the biggest concern Chris Peterson had was whether or not he'd be able to last, as small as he is, for playing that middle linebacker position.
Savon Ahmed. And it wasn't just Chris Peterson. You go back to his high school days, that's part of why he wasn't heavily recruited. Teams thought he was just too small.
Now he's having double-digit tackles every single game throughout the course of their season. There's no doubt about it. He's up for the task and up to the challenge.
Are those BKs for Burke-Irvin? Do they hang one of those for each tackle?
They should.
Kind of like K's at a baseball game, huh?
Right in line.
Washington trying to put the finishing touches on this one. Ahmed with that stop and start again. This time Dante Wigley was ready for it. And the Buffs will use their first timeout. We'll take the timeout with them with 2:17 left. Washington with a 24-13 lead, and with a 3rd down and 8, 2:17 to go. No Myles Gaskin today, but that rotation they've had between Ahmed and McGrew and Pleasant, even a little bit of Jake Browning in the running game, at a season high 203 yards rushing.
And give credit to the offensive line of Washington. The stout, tough run defense by Colorado all year long held USC to 62 yards in the game last week. So clearly they're up for the challenge.
3rd down and 8. Break the huddle, hustle up to the line of scrimmage, and hand it off to Kamari Pleasant. Rick Gamboa as a tackle. Here comes the second timeout for Colorado. And they're going to stay within 2 possessions by forcing the field goal here. So here comes Peyton Henry. A little bit less pressure on this 4th quarter kick. From 30 yards. He's hit both of his attempts today. That was set up with a Ben Burr-Kirven interception, and the lead extended to 14 with 2:06 to go.
But nonetheless, everything's still out there for Washington. But yeah, they do got to root for Washington State tonight.
Short kick from Henry. Well done. Blackman takes it over the shoulder. And Elijah Molden brings him down at the 13. So Steven Montez, 17 of 26 today, under pressure and sacked. Onzarike got to him. That's only the 2nd sack this season for a defensive lineman for Washington.
Watch the left side. I mean, it was almost like there was a miscommunication, and I'm not sure what Brett Tons was doing. Colby Purcell doesn't help out at the center position. I mean, it doesn't get much easier as the defensive lineman in that case.
Yeah, they'll run it. Onzarike with another tackle on McMillan. Use their final timeout with 1:23. You know, the other thing that cheering for Washington State would set up for Washington fans is a potential Apple Cup that decides the division.
Should be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the Pac-12, and there's a lot of parity in it right now, but we're going to see more separation here tonight.
Out of the reach of Kyle Evans. One of the rare times today Washington's brought heat. 4th down and 11.
And that's unfortunately, you know, how they go about, you know, throwing the football short like that, trying to get the running back out of the backfield. You got to throw around the sticks. It's got to be at least a 11-yard pass.
You're looking ahead for Colorado. Laviska Shenault again out today with the toe injury. Continues to be day-to-day and week-to-week. Well, they're a different team when they have him. Of course, Jay McIntyre not having him, no small thing either. Here is a downfield shot, but nowhere close to Daniel Arias. And that is going to do it as Washington takes over with 1:13.
And then that kind of sums up just how this day has been for Steven Montez in the second half, at least. Had a good first half, but just couldn't get anything going really in the second half. And we saw him last week, you know, Hail Mary, end of the first half, throw it out of bounds. And that opportunity, you got to give him a shot. You got to give him a chance to get the football. And really, in that case, even if you throw an interception, you know, at least you're 20 yards downfield. Now you're giving the football at the 12-yard line.
Looked like it might be a different story today. You know, that first drive, they hit the 37-yard touchdown to Arias, but that was it in the way of connecting downfield.
Couldn't continue the momentum, and now we'll watch as Washington just run the clock out. I'm sure there's a certain portion of our audience that was hoping maybe they would try to find a way to put the ball in the end zone or get some other points here.
Instead, it looks like the final margin will be 14. Chris Peterson's team will bounce back from that loss at Oregon. Move to 6-2 overall, 4-1 in Pac-12 play.
Would be remiss if we didn't mention the SID at Colorado, Dave Blotties. His father passed away last night. We just want to send out our thoughts and prayers and condolences to him and his family as he's dealing with that situation.
One final knee from Jake Browning to bring this one to a close. 9th consecutive win for the Huskies over the Buffs. That includes all 7 since the Buffs joined the Pac-12. And 2 of the more well-respected coaches in the profession exchanged pleasantries at midfield. Another good game for Ben Burke-Kirven. 15 tackles for him. Interception. And on a day where the offense went up with 351 yards. Again, was good, not great. Able to come away with a win, 27-13, and we go down to Bruce.
Coach, I know you talk about next man up. It felt like it was next man up tonight when it came with replacing Miles. What stood out to you about your run game tonight?
Well, I think we did a pretty adequate job. I always think it starts up front, and if, they can knock them off a little bit, give us a crease. Those backs, we got some backs that can do some things.
Your guy, Ben Burke-Kirven, I don't know if he had 20 tackles, but it was close. Game-clinching pick. What makes him so special?
I think his cape that he wears. He needs to wear a cape. He's like Superman out here, man. I mean, he's been like this every game. And he's just a football player. He's smart, he's fast, he's tough. He's everything you want. My hat's off to him every game.
You guys have a big race here now in this division. How much attention will you pay to this Washington State-Oregon game tonight?
Well, that's one of the beauties of playing early. You can go home and watch everybody else's misery. We got ours over with, and so we'll enjoy this, and then it always comes back to us. We got a big game next week, and there's a lot of football to play. That's always our mentality.
All right, thanks, Coach. Guys?
All right, Bruce. Of course, Coach Peterson's going to go home and turn Fox on. Where Washington State and Oregon coming up in just a little bit. 27-13, the final score. We'll be back here to Seattle to wrap things up after these messages.